All right, folks, welcome back to more fun fishing. End up going to another spot to try to get out of that wind. Have my buddy Danny with me today. Had to take him to the dock. He kind of had this thing called, he had to call the wild. So, I told him, I said, I'm going to go ahead and fish while he's taking care of business. We'll go up here and see what we can pick up. Who knows? I just might have this live well full before he gets back. I've been known to do a few things like that in the past. I don't know what I did with my hand wiping towel, but I reckon I lost the thing going down the lake. All right, let's see what we can do here. It's calm in here. Oh, first cast. Look at that. Ooh, yeah. First cast, and this is a heavy fish. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, come on. Look at that. Now, is that a whopper or what? Oh, yeah. That's what I like. It's funny how, where's my wiping rag? Funny how these fish over out by this cleaning station that I'm fishing at, they get so much bigger. Huh? Oh, we got about 25 or 30 so far. That's good. Really? Well, that's great. Yeah, we got out here early because they said that wind's supposed to get bad and we got storms coming in. And yeah, good luck. Be careful on that water. Ooh, there's a good hit. That was a feller talking to you right there. That they say the wind's supposed to really pick up around 11. You know, it's 9:30 now, but they said the storms are supposed to start getting more intense this afternoon. Tomorrow's when the big storms are supposed to hit. You too. Good luck. I met that feller up here, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. He just recently moved here, and he was sitting there fishing. Him and his wife came up there, and they had about 10, 15 nice big bluegill. And they asked me if I did eat good, and I had my bucket with me, and I dumped it out in that sink beside them. I thought they was going to flip out because I was by myself. So I had about 50. And that's whenever he said, hey, he says, how did you do that? And I showed him my jig. And he bought a package of them. 2 weeks later, I came up here fishing. And there he was again. He came over and said, hey, he said, I want to buy 4 packs of them. He said he never caught so many fish in all of his life. That feels like a red ear. And guess what? I did exactly what I said I wasn't going to do. I left that stupid dip net down inside that compartment, and this is a big old red ear. It sure is. Oh my God, what a red ear. Oh. Come on, buddy, don't fall off. Yeah, look at that. No, big red ear. I think they're about the size of a bucket. That is a nice boy. Boom, here comes Danny. So I guess we'll have to just show him this big old boy and say, look what you missed. All right. Yeah, I got to get that net out. I can't be playing around fish this size. I know there's more than that in here. Hey, Danny. Exactly where I told you they'd be. I caught a big monster bluegill just a minute ago. Can you get across there, or do I need to come around? Is it possible? If it's not possible, I'll come around. I don't care whether you're supposed to or not. If it wasn't supposed to, they shouldn't tie it up and block off the dock. All right. Well, that phone almost went in the water, folks. Well, that time we got that thing evidence. But what I've done this time was a good thing. My tripod, I've got my phone on. I actually got that thing set up so if it does fall, it lands in the boat. Now, when we start doing any major fishing, inside my boat, I have 2 nets. One, this is a small trout net. People ask me why I have 2 nets in my boat for. Well, when you get a live well full of bluegill, you take that net, scoop in there, you get them all out. You don't have to sit there and handle them. This is actually designed for kayaks, but it folds, put it in my compartment, and extends to the same length. And man, you can get some big fish in that thing. Having a net that's this big around don't make sense, because I can't get a fish that big around in my live wells. What's the point of me doing it? All right, Danny, I'm gonna go ahead and do this real quick. Good Lord. That is one big red ear, buddy. We got some more. If I can dump this little live well out now, maybe those fish will live longer. See, if I didn't have this little trout net, I wouldn't be able to do that. Little devil. Back here. Huh? Yeah, they're fast. There we go. Yeah. Now, that way there we got the fish transferred. Those little bluegill, they are really hard to keep alive because they seem to suck a lot of oxygen for such a little fish. I guess because they're so hyped up and so hyper that they have to have a lot of oxygen. So even if I turn that live well on full blast and just let pump fresh water in, those fish die anyway. So what I'm thinking about doing, they make an oxygen regenerator or oxygen generator that now it's rechargeable and you can drop it in there and it'll float. kind of like what you have in those great big commercial minnow buckets. I'm going to try to buy one of them and try it. They do have that thing called Pro Air that a lot of your bass boats that you buy have on there. I would do that, but man, it's really expensive, and I really don't know. I haven't researched it enough to see if it'd be worth drilling a hole in my live well to do it. That means I got to take everything out back there and do it. I don't know if I want to do that. But if I can get that oxygen generator like that to work, I could buy two, one for each live well. Right up here is where I caught that big bluegill just a minute ago. That red ear I caught right over here. I got water in that cooler if you want some water. Oh, lost him. Ooh. I have noticed that these fish over here near this fish cleaning station are generally the average bigger fish for some reason. I guess because I feed off the scraps. So cast right up in there, right towards that shade, and bring it kind of back slow. There he is. Feel pretty hefty. No, it's a keeper. That is a keeper. There he is. Right there. Oh man, I lost him. Golly. That felt good too. He felt heavy. I'm gonna try to pull us out just a little bit so we don't drift on top. The other day I got in here, was fishing this thing pretty good. Fished it really hard, caught a bunch of fish in here. And I looked at the time, I said, man, I need to see my fish and go. There he is. Yeah. And I looked up, and here come this guy in here. On the front of his boat, all he had was, it looked like he had 15 different kind of electronics on the front. I mean, every kind of TV screen you can imagine. Wasn't even looking where he was going, just watching the TV screens and fishing. I'm like, you know, that's not fishing to me. That's kind of like playing Xbox. The only thing I can figure he was doing, I guess he had that live scope stuff on his boat. And that's what he was doing, that live scoping. Oh, missed another one there. So folks, this spot that I'm at right now, I generally save this spot for last. It's over here by our cleaning station. So usually this is where I want to pick, you know, come in here and pick up one or two fish quick just before we quit fishing. But since we've got those storms on the way, I wanted to try this spot first before we got, because we could go out and then come back. Yeah, there's hardly no wind at all here. I need to get in the habit when I'm fishing, get that net out and keep that net out. This spot's been known. Me and my dad's come over here and fished here before, and fished just this one spot and catch 100 fish out of here before. I I'm afraid those days are gone since the Asian carp have come in. I mean, used to just go to one spot and that's all you had to do is fish one spot and be done for the day, but man, not anymore. Not anymore. Oh, there was a good hit. Man, that was a really good hit. The good thing is we can fish here a few minutes. We don't do any good. We can go back and hit those other spots. That's the thing about it. You know, we're not just limited and stuck into one. But I know there's fish here. Without a doubt, I know there's fish here. I almost smacked that turtle right on the head. Cast over towards that willow tree. Yeah, I picked up a lot of stuff. Picking up stuff, that means them fish aren't in here yet. But me and CJ, we caught several red ear. Oh no, out of here the other day. That's why I wanted to come over here and hit this before. Oh man, I got a mess here. Got a red ear? Let me know if it is. I'll get that net. I got a mess right here. It looks like it might be a red ear. I don't see nothing yet. Yeah, look what a red ear. All right, buddy. Get him out where I can see him. Oh, Lord have mercy. That thing looks like he's 5 pounds. Oh, yeah. Man, is that a whopper. Look at that, y'all. Look what Danny just caught. And the line broke.
Oh, mercy.
Yep, that's one of them things right there, buddy. We have got to make sure you cut and retie.
Yeah, that's why you gotta have a loose drag.
Yeah.
4 pounds.
Yeah. So if he had that drag set too tight on that one, he would have lost that fish. So there's a prime example about, you know, I'd rather it be zipping and take a little extra effort. And you see, we babied that one, got him in. When I touched that line and picked that up, that line snapped right at that jig. Well, remember I was telling you the other day when I caught that big fish and got him in the boat and snapped that line, that's my fault because we've been catching tons of fish on these little jigs. And every so often when you're catching a lot of fish like that, you need to cut and retie. Yeah, perfect example. And I've had that happen even when I'm bass fishing. So like if I caught a bass that weighed 2 or 3 pounds on a plastic worm, instead of taking that thing and recasting it, I'd cut and I'd retie. Every time. Spinnerbait, crankbait, it didn't matter what it was. I would cut and retie just because of that reason. You got $2,000 or $3,000, even $10,000 on a line on a 5 or 6 pound fish, and you hang into it and you get up there to the boat and that line breaks because you didn't retie. That's your fault. Now that's this time here, that net saved us and got that fish in his boat. Yeah, if I would have picked that thing up earlier, yeah, it had been gone. That's the reason why I do that. I told you, because when I caught that red ear a while ago, I was like, oh, I didn't have that net out. So I had to dip him up here, and then I'm like, I'm going to get that net out. I got a feeling we're going to catch a few of those. You catch him big red ear. There's a couple of spots I'd like to go hit right now, but with this wind and these possible storms coming up, I don't want to make that kind of run. That next bay over, I got a place over there where I caught a ton of red ear out of last year. Where I got Chucky over there into those red ear. Kind of got him hooked on them. Well, I did pick one or two up right here. I picked up the big bluegill a while ago, had a couple of good hits. I ain't getting squat. There he is. I had to bounce it. I had to do that bouncing trick. There he was, look. That's a nice fish. Yeah. I kept feeling something peck at it, and finally he decided to take it after I bounced it a few times. You can tell, boy, that storm's coming in. They'll start acting up like there he is. There's another one. They start wanting that thing different. This one's not quite as big, but no, that's pretty good size. And he's gonna make the skillet stink. Man, this nice. This heat. It's already getting hot. They said Wednesday temperature's supposed to drop again. Only plus about that temperature dropping like that is it just kind of slows them fish down a little bit more. See, tomorrow I gotta take a little bit to the doctor. She's been sick too. You know, JD and Leah both, they've all been sick, had bronchitis and cough and everything, that I end up with it. Dummy me, I ran out of my honey, and I think that's why I end up with it. When I take a spoonful of honey every day, I don't get sick. And I hadn't been doing it, got out of the habit because I ran out, and look what happened to me. It is, yeah. I get that raw local honey. And you know, I haven't been sick hardly at all, you know, since 2019. And dadgum, if I didn't, almost 2 months there, I didn't take it, and then look what happened to me. And my doctor told me that's a bunch of hoopla. I said, oh, that ain't doing that. I'm like, well, something is, and now I got to get these stupid steroids and antibiotics again. I don't like taking that mess. Funny thing was, I had that stinking cough syrup, and Kay went in there to get it for me to where I could drink some of it. She said, "This is empty." I said, "Yes, I drank half the bottle of it." Like, I wanted to get rid of it, and buddy, I was feeling pretty good. She says, "You're only supposed to take a little bit." I'm like, "Well," I said, "Too late now." I said, "But I'm a tad bit dizzy. I'm just gonna sit right here for a little while." So we'll just see what happens. Well, it's 2 halfway decent red deer come out of there. I know there's got to be more, Danny. Oh, there's a hit. Man, he hit that thing good too. Right at the boat. Feel pretty good. Yep, bluegill. Yeah, I'd say turn him loose. We got some big ones in there. That's one of them sizes during the summertime. When you're not catching a whole lot, those look pretty good, you know. Yeah, during that summertime, whenever you're not catching a lot, those look really good. Okay, I'm gonna turn the boat. We'll make another circle. We'll hit these spots 2 more times. We're doing good. I say get out. We'll go back over on the other side of that dock, over there at that flat. That flat over there, we caught a lot of fish over there. Didn't look like much traffic over there or anything. Did they have their cafeteria open up there? No, I'm surprised. I got 3 foot, 3.5. So it's about probably 4 or 5 foot deep. There it is. Yeah. Got some weight on this one. This one's got quite a bit of weight. Yeah, look how fat that thing is, would you? Man, that's a fat fish, boy. That's what I like catching out there. Mhm. Starting to get used to standing up again. Well, when I tournament fished, I never did sit down and fish. Always, I would stand and fish all day long. And I'm getting back into it. I really like standing up. I have more control. I can work that rod a little bit better. There he is. Yep. Right in there. That's a nice fish too. Look at that weight on that thing. You know, I like them when they're coming out there like that. Where I've caught those last couple of fish is right about where you're at right there into the boat. Seems to be the best. Of course, that wind. Can't hardly see the wind on the water like you can when you're above it, but boy, it'll push this boat around. Hmm. They don't seem to be up in there like I thought they'd be today.
A few nice
Uh, yeah, when you're getting stuff on the lure, it just means those fish aren't. They may be there, but they're not being active enough to keep that stuff off of there. Oh, I missed him. Let's try out in here because that's about the third time I've caught fish way out in here. Maybe getting too close and getting on top of them. There he is. See, that's what I was saying. And here I think I was getting the boat in there too close. I was getting on top of them fish. It seems like they're further out than that. Now that one I'm gonna let him be free. I think with as warm as it's been this year, I think these fish were trying to spawn in that shallower water right before they raised the lake up. Now they raised the lake up, and instead of these eggs and these beds being in that 2 to 3 foot range, they're in that 5 and 6 foot range. That's what I think's happened this year. 'Cause it seems like that's been consistent today. It's like that the other day too. Instead of being way up in that shallow water like they usually are. That would explain a lot of it. I was explaining that to CJ the other day. I think it was in, it wasn't 2012. It was a couple of years before that. You know, we had flooding. You know, flooding here is a natural occurrence all the time. But that one year, the water got so high that Poplar Creek, or over there with that ramp that I launch at, you could launch the boat, but the boat dock was just sitting like this here. I had to tie up in trees. Well, it was in this time of year, you know, the bluegill was trying to spawn, and everybody was catching bluegill. It was kind of a warm spring like this, but not quite this dry. And man, I I was struggling to find fish, and I'm watching everybody else, and they'd go up there and on all that new water, they was way up in that shallow stuff. I mean, what's usually dry land, they were up there fishing in it. And I said, that just can't be. I said, I know better than that. So I got back in the back at bay across the lake, you know which bay I'm talking about. And I said, you know, them bluegill beds are usually right in here. And when I said right in here, I looked and it said 10 foot of water. So I took these jigs. Ooh, dang, this one's heavy. I took these jigs and just started working that 10 foot of water. And I started waylaying the fire out of them bluegill. And what them bluegill did, they were spawning in that 10 foot of water, which is very unusual for these fish. Yeah. Right. That was the spawning ground for years, you know, always the same. Always, you know, 2 to 3 foot of water. They'd always spawn there. And, uh, but this time, it wasn't 2 to 3 foot, it was 10 foot. And I'd come up here to clean fish, and people were struggling to catch fish because the water was so high. And I was coming out of buckets full, and they were telling me, how are you catching all them fish? I said, well, y'all doing it wrong. I said, get out of the shallow water, go back to where you would normally catch. Oh, I just missed one there. I said, go back to where you would normally catch them. I said, that's where they're going to be. I said, they're not going to be in that super shallow water. I said, you go up there in that super shallow water, you might find a bass or two that's chasing, you know, fry up there or something like that. I said, you're not going to catch those big, consistent bluegill. See, there you got one now. There, I got one too. Oh, lost him. A nice fish. Seems to be playing him pretty good. Oh, I got one now. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad we came right over here. We may not have to leave. How many's back there in that live well? Cool. We may not have to go with the other spot. I don't even know what time it is. It's 10 o'clock now. We can try this for a few minutes and then run over and hit that spot if you want and finish that spot out over there, because it's really been a great spot so far this year. I really hate to pass it up without hitting it. It's worth a shot coming over here just to catch those two big red ear.
Oh, every time you've been in there.
Yeah, this spot's always had red ear in it. My real red ear holes across the lake over on that old road bed. And I've caught, man, got in that thing one time. Me and my dad did. We caught over 40 big red ear out of that spot. One sitting, just every cast. Let me tell you something. You catch a crap load of red ear like that, man, you've got some meat on your plate. Let's see. I'm getting ready to. What I'm doing there, folks, is I'm trying to watch my time. Last time Danny and I went fishing, we got to catching them so fast that I didn't realize I videotaped almost 2 hours worth of video. I tried to download it or upload it to Facebook and to TikTok and every place else. It wouldn't hardly do it because it was too long. Didn't have the heart to shut it off because we was having so much fun. But I think what we're going to do, though, is we're going to go ahead and move to another spot. So y'all stay tuned. Good luck. God bless. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.